Dear students, now we are going to discuss about linear system and non-linear system. Let's start with the linear system. Whichever system satisfies superposition principle, that is known as linear system. So that is what? Linear system. Superposition principle. What is superposition principle here? So this is the statement for the superposition principle, that is, the response to a weighted sum of input signals is equal to the weighted sum of their respective outputs. So that is given in this equation. We can say that as a superposition principle. So how can we prove it? Here consider the input signal x1 of t. For the input signal x1 of t, the output signal is y1 of t, that can be represented as transformation of x1 of t. Correct. So, if I am going to multiply this input signal by a constant a. So, whenever we are multiplying the input signal by a constant, its amplitude is increased. So, it is called as weighted signal. So, weighted signal means, let me show you that example. Suppose here x of t is equal to 5. Okay. So, 5 into, this is a constant. If I am going to multiply this 5 with this x of t, what will happen? So, 5 into 5, that is 25. The input signal is weighted by the amplitude extra 5. Okay. So, this is what that weighted. Weighted you all understand now? So, whenever the signal is multiplied by a constant, that is amplitude is multiplied by a constant, that is called as weighted. So, a x1 of t, for this signal, that output can be written like this. That is a into y1 of t. How? Because transformation of a into x1 of t is equal to, we can take this a outside as it is a constant. So, a transformation of x1 of t. So, transformation of x1 of t is nothing but what? y1 of t. So, we can write a into y1 of t. Correct? So, for this input signal a into x1 of t, the output is multiplied by the same weight. So, likewise we can consider x2, for x2 of t, the output signal is y2 of t. Correct? If I am going to multiply this signal by b, the output is also multiplied by b. Correct? So, there is a transformation here. So, what I am going to tell, the system is linear if the input a x1 of t plus b x2 of t. For this input signal, the output is nothing but a y1 of t plus b y2 of t. This y1 of t is nothing but transformation of x1 of t, that is a into this, and b y2 of is nothing but transformation of x2 into t. So, that is nothing but the transformation of this whole thing, right? Transformation of ax1 of t plus bx2 of t. So, this is called superposition principle. So, that's what given like this. Transformation of weighted sum of input signals. So, sum of input signals x1 of t and x2 of t both are weighted. Correct? That is equal to weighted sum of their respective outputs. This is what its respective outputs, that is also getting weighted. Okay. So, this is for continuous time signal. This is for discrete time signal. Okay. So, whichever system satisfies the superposition principle, that is called as linear system. Example here. It is a real-time example. Linear system means what? Generally, whenever we are going to calculate that wages based on hourly. Okay. So, that is also coming under linear. Likewise, all the electrical system controls are coming under linear systems. Okay. So, what about that non-linear system? So, a system which does not satisfy superposition principle. A system which does not satisfy superposition principle is known as non-linear system. So it should not satisfy the condition, that is the weighted sum of input is not equal to the weighted sum of their respective outputs. So example, so this non-linearity concepts are widely used in the area of gas dynamics and fluid flow kind of areas. Let's solve some problems. So here, this is what the given system. Okay, so input x of t is there, output y of t is also there. This is the system. Okay, so we are going to prove whether the system is linear system or non-linear system. We are going to find it out. So for that, how are we going to find out this means? Let's take the solution. Okay, so we know that what's the condition here? Transformation of A x1 of t plus b x2 of, this is what the superposition. So first we have to write down the superposition principle. This is what the superposition principle we are going to prove. This is nothing but y1 of t. This is nothing but y2 of t. Okay. So this is what the superposition principle. First we have to, for linearity, non-linearity, we have to first obtain the superposition principle. So next step. So this is the generic system equation. First we are going to find out for the input signal x1 of t. This is superposition equation. So leave it as such. The first step in this problem. So we are going to get the output signal y1 of t for the input signal x1 of t. Suppose my input is x1 of t means this equation can be written as y1 of t divided by dt plus 3 into t into y1 of t is equal to t squared into x1 of t. Suppose my input is x1 of t means my output is y1 of t. Everywhere we can change it. This is the first equation. So the same thing. Suppose my input is x2 of t. At that time my output is y2 of t. So the same equation can be written like this. dy2 of t divided by dt plus 3t into y2 of t, that is equal to t squared x2 of t. This is the second equation. So we are going to get this form. Correct. So for this what we are going to do? We are going to multiply this one term by a and multiply this x2 of t term by b. So multiply equation 1 with a constant. Similarly, multiply equation 2 with b. And we have to add this together. Okay. What we are going to? We are going to multiply the equation 1 with a, multiply this equation 2 with b and add this 2 together. So at that time what will happen? The equation 1 is a dy1 of t by dt plus 3a. So a has to be multiplied everywhere. So 3at y1 of t equal to a into t squared x1 of t. Correct. Then the second step. Second equation is multiplied with b. So b dy2 of t by dt plus 3bt y2 of t equal to b t squared x2 of t. Then we are going to add this two. So in this one, okay, we can write this d by dt. What is that? This d by dt is common. We are going to add this too. So whenever we are adding, we are going to take the common point. In this d by dt is common. So then what is the remaining term? A into y1 of t. A y1 of t in this one plus b y2 of t. Correct. Then in this one, what are the common terms? 3t is common. Correct. This 3t common. So we can take this 3t outside and write it down the remaining term a y1 of t plus b y2 of t. Correct. That is equal to in this. So in this 2, this t squared is common. Right hand side. So we can write we can take this t squared outside and we can write a x1 of t plus b x2 of t. Correct? So this is what the final step in this one. Now this is a weighted sum of outputs. Correct? This is what the time, right? A into y1 of t plus b into y2 of t. So this is called weighted sum of outputs. Okay. So here it is also a weighted sum of outputs. And this is also a weighted sum of input. Okay. So this is a common term we can take outside, right? So don't bother about that. So inside this bracket, this is what the weighted sum of output. Weighted sum of output is equal to weighted sum of inputs. So that is what called as linear system. So the given system dy of t by dt plus 3t y of t is equal to d squared x of t. This is a linear system because it satisfies the superposition principle. Okay. So and one more thing is, here we mentioned this d by dt and 3t and here it is t squared. This is nothing but system function. Okay. So if we are going to give into one system means this weighted sum of input is nothing but the system function is 3t. This d by dt is system's function and t squared is a system function. That's why we can say it is a linear system. Okay. So next, consider another one example. So in this case, okay, in case of differential equation, so whenever differential terms comes in the system, at the time we can use the previous method. Okay. So in this case, we are going to use one more different method. That is y of t is equal to e power x of t. Okay. So we are going to find out whether it is a linear or non-linear system. How? For this type of problems. So in this case, first we have to write down the same superposition principle. What is superposition principle? The superposition principle is nothing but what? That is transfer of a x1 of t plus b x2 of t equal to a into t x1 of t plus b transfer of x2 of t. That is the superposition principle. The superposition principle can also be written as, okay, that response of a x1 of t plus b x2 of t can be written as y3 of t. That is response, some response, or we can say output response, that overall output response. That is equal to a into this response of x1 of t is nothing but a into y1 of t plus response of x2 of t is nothing but b into y2 of t. Correct? So now we are going to prove this concept. So this part is very, very important in case of such kind of problems. Okay. So here first we are going to take this left hand side. Take down this right hand side. Any side we can take first. So right hand side. So what is that? A into y1 of t. Correct. So a into y1 of t means, as you all know that, okay, so for x1 of t, this value is y1 of t. So we can write a y1 of t is nothing but a. The same thing can be multiplied here also, a into e power x1 of t. Correct? So take the right hand side in this side. For x1 of t, output is y1 of t, we know that. That is multiplied by a. So then what about this b? For x2 of t, input x2 of t, the output is y2 of t. That is multiplied by b on both sides. Correct? So this is what? Right hand side. So this right hand side can be written as a y1 of t plus b y2 of t is equal to this value. We have to multiply this two. Okay. A e power x1 of t plus b e power x2 of t. We can write that is the first equation. So left and right hand side we have considered like this. Now come to this part. What is that? y naught of t. Take the left hand side. That is y naught of t is nothing but what? Transfer of these two. Response of ax1 of t plus bx2 of t. Correct? How are we going to write on this? So as you all know that Tx of t is equal to y of t. Correct? That is input. Here the input is what? What is the input? This is the input as such. So here y of t value is what? E power x of t. Y of t is equal to e power x of t. So here this input is x of t. So if I am going to, this input is x of t, this transfer function is nothing but exponential. Okay. So that means what? My system is exponential of whatever input is coming. Okay. Here it is x of t. Whatever x of t comes, it takes the exponential and gives x of e power x of t. That is nothing but y of t, the given system. Suppose here I am giving my input as like this. My whole input is ax1 of t plus bx2 of t instead of x of t. At the time, what is my system output? My whole output is equal to what? Exponential of x of t is replaced by the whole input. So, ax1 of t plus bx2 of t. Do you all understand what is that overall output of this? So this x of t is replaced by the input, the whole, some weighted sum of inputs. So this input is nothing but this whole term. So this x of t is replaced by the whole term. So this is what my second equation, y in overall output. So this is the condition, superposition principle, right? This is what superposition principle. So now we are going to equate these two. Compare. Both are equal because y naught of t is equal to a y1 of t plus b y2 of t. That is the superposition. Then this two equation, left hand sides are equal, right? Left hand sides are equal means right hand side should also be equal. But here it is a e power x1 of t plus b x2 of t. Here it is e power the whole term. So both are not equal. That is y1, y naught of t is not equal to a y1 of t plus b y2 of t. So this is a non-linear system. What is that? Non-linear system. You all understand? So this is the another one method. Thank you.